This is my 2014 Chevrolet Caprice PPV. Current mileage is 69,570. I made a video on this car about 7 months ago. Since then, I've made some more upgrades, and this is a follow-up to that video. Starting in the front here, I went back to the chrome grille. Originally, I had painted the grille black, but it was just hard keeping paint on it with the rock chips, so I went back to chrome. I know General Motors puts an absurd amount of chrome on their vehicles, but this is starting to grow on me. So under the hood here, this is where I made most of the changes. Let me grab a light here. Starting with the intake tube right here. This is a 4.5-inch intake tube from Quartz Performance. It's for the Chevy SS, but it fits in my Caprice without modification. The only thing I had to do was, it's got a longer K&N filter on it. So I originally had the Holden fog lights in the front, so I had to go back to the blank plate because it was touching the filter. I also added a Nick Williams 103 throttle body. It's got that newer motor on it like you see on the Gen 5 Camaros, but it's plug and play on the Caprice. I did flip the throttle body 180 degrees because I didn't want the motor and the wiring so close to the pulley there. But that throttle body, this throttle body doesn't require any tuning. Idle is perfect. I didn't change anything with the idle tuning when installing that throttle body. I added a 2.8 pulley. The blower has been ported by Kong Performance. It's got the standard port. I also added a couple of lid spacer from Forced Induction's Interchiller. You can see here the lid spacer is here. That lowers the IATs, I want to say about 8 degrees, at least on my application. And I also added a blower spacer between the supercharger and the cylinder heads, and that's 10 millimeter, same as on the lid spacer. I also added ID 1050 injectors, and I also added a DSX aux fuel system. I was a little leery about drilling a hole in the gas tank, but it's been on the car for about 4 or 5 months now, and I haven't had any leaks. The way it operates is it runs off the map sensor here with this harness. I guess you'd call it a piggyback harness or a breakaway harness, and it runs around to basically an electronic relay. You see that orange light. That tells you that the relay has 12 volts. There's also a blue light. That's the 5-volt reference. That comes on anytime the ECU wakes up. So if I open the car door or if the ignition's on, that light will come on. And, it shuts off when the ECU goes to sleep. I also put on a switch to operate the pump. And when the pump's running, that green light comes on. And that's just for testing purposes, or if you want to drain the gas out, I guess you could use that pump to do that. Coming around to the side here. In the summertime, I run Cadillac CTS-V wheels. The front tires are Mickey Thompson Sport Comps, and these are 255/40/19s. I also upgraded the brakes, front and rear. I went with AC Delco Performance Gold rotors and Power Stop carbon ceramic pads. And I want to say it's a slight improvement over the stock Caprice brakes. And, they don't chatter up the rims with all that dust. It's a lot less than, the stock brakes that were on there. Coming down to the back here. In the summer, I run Mickey Thompson ET Street SS tires. These are 285/35/19. If you have a blower car, I definitely recommend these tires. They hook really well. any temperature above, 70 degrees and up, they hook right up. If it's below that, then it'll spin a little bit. Coming around to the back, I added, I run the stock mufflers, so I got these tips off eBay. It's like a stainless steel oval tip, like BMW X5 style. The inlet on these tips is 2.5. On the stock Caprice exit, it's 2.25. So I cut about 3 inches off the stock muffler and just added a reducer, 2.25, 2.5, and tacked that on there. I also cut open the top of the mufflers. The mufflers, stock Caprice mufflers, like a 4-chamber muffler. You have access to 3 chambers. The 4th one's only about 1 inch wide, and it's just got some sound deadening in it. But the other 3 chambers, the first chamber has some packing in it. I removed that. And chambers 2 and 3, the inlet tube comes in with a bunch of holes in it. I made the holes larger. I cut out some of the baffling, and on the exit, it's like a J pipe with a horn on the end, looked like the end of a bugle. I cut that off and cut some more holes in it just to improve the flow. The car doesn't sound any louder than stock, maybe just a little bit. But it's a slightly hollower sound like you would hear on like a Flowmaster 2-chamber muffler. But I don't like the car loud, so I'm happy with it. On the interior, I added these seat covers from Coverado. I got these off Amazon. It's like a universal fit. They look like leather, but they're not. They got some perforations in them, some extra padding here and on the sides, on the bottom. They don't slide around, but for 118 bucks, it's a really good deal. I also added the SS console. I believe this is from a Holden Commodore, like a VE or a VF series. If this was an SS console, these buttons would be on this side. Also, these buttons here, I don't need them for the Caprice, but they are momentary switches, and I still have my wigwags and the strobes. So what I did was, because it's a momentary switch, I installed a latching relay, and so when you push the button, it energizes the relay, turns on the wigwags. If you push the button again, it de-energizes the relay and turns the wigwags off. So I put the wigwags and the strobes on these two. I do have the paddle shifters here that were running off a switch, but I discovered that you don't really need the switch. You can use the gear shift lever as the switch. So in HP Tuners, I set range active to D3, and so when you put the car in low, the paddles are now active. So there's no longer a need for a switch between, I think it's pin 8 on the clock spring, and the blue plug of the BCM pin 11 is what you use for using manual mode. I also added the SS cluster, had it programmed. Gives you a few more features than the stock Caprice cluster. I have the temperature gauge up on the left-hand side. When you put the car in manual mode, it shows you what gear you're in. It's also got some lap timer thingy, oil pressures there, and it also shows coolant temperature as well on the gauge cluster when you used your stalk here to scroll through the menu. That's pretty much it on the interior upgrades. I'm now running E85 in the car. The quickest the car ever went on gasoline was 11 flat at 127 miles an hour. And that was like on 12.5 degrees of timing. Tried to add more timing to it, but catching some knock retard, so I pretty much hit the limits of gasoline. So now I'm on E85. I went to the track like 2 weeks ago with about 47% E, like 14 degrees of timing. The car went 1086 at 131. And had a couple issues with the transmission on that run. I was banging the rev limiter in first, and I had some slippage on the 3/4 shift. So since then, I've corrected the transmission. So that's working now. And I put some more E in it. I'm up to about 70% E. And I added 18 degrees of timing total. So the car picked up, I want to say like 50 more horsepower because it feels a lot quicker. But I haven't been to the track yet to see what it runs. But last track day is this coming Saturday. So hopefully if it doesn't rain, I'll get up there and see what it runs and let you guys know. So if you want to see more content on this car, like and subscribe. I'll make some more videos, maybe go a little more in-depth on projects on this car, because I still got some suspension work to do. It's still on the stock suspension, so I want to make some changes there. So that's it for now. Take care.